Hi, everyone. My name is William Soliman. Thank you again for the invitation from CMAC to speak here today. I wish I could have been there in person. Today, I'm going to be discussing medical affairs capabilities, building a roadmap for success. And, this is a very important topic because when we think about medical affairs capabilities and how quickly the industry is changing, there's so much that we need to think about in terms of some of the dynamic needs of the market in today's industry. So definitely looking forward to having this discussion today. So when we think about medical affairs and some of the capabilities that are really important, one of the things that we've done at the Accreditation Council for Medical Affairs, or the ACMA, is look at a professional development framework for medical affairs. And what are some of the things that are really important for medical affairs professionals? And you can see here, one of the things that's key is the ability for medical affairs professionals to be able to make very good decisions, to be able to have strong business acumen, relationship building, team leadership, internal communication, evidence and insights generation, and be able to communicate evidence-based medicine in an objective and competent way. On the right-hand side, you can see a series of competencies that also are very important for a medical affairs professional or a medical affairs organization, namely the importance of continuous improvement. There needs to be a plan when it comes to the medical affairs governance component of the organization for continuous professional development, continuous improvement of the organization. Oftentimes we focus a lot on the results that we want to achieve. We don't think about the capabilities, skills, and training that's required to achieve that. Another critical component is the ability to be strategic and develop very sound medical affairs strategic planning. Being patient-centric, important scientific communication planning, stakeholder relationship management, being able to work with various stakeholders, both externally and internally, having very strong interpersonal skills, and finally, having very solid medical governance. Matter of fact, a recent paper came out that talked about the fact that medical governance really is the foundation of excellence within medical affairs. And so I think this is going to be, a very, very important component to any good medical affairs organization. The other area that's key when we think about medical affairs is digital technology. And developments of digital technology have the ability to transform medical affairs. But when you're implementing digital technology, it's important that we implement digital technology compliantly. And I think there's three things you'll want to focus on when it comes to digital technology within medical affairs and what it's going to mean to drive strategy and insights. One is the data itself. How are you collecting the data? Is the data reliable? And how do you implement this data to be able to inform change across your teams internally and externally? The process. What are the processes that you have in place to ensure that you have strong governance and compliance around procuring this technology? And so I think the last thing is making sure you have the right tools in place. Those tools are reliable. That's technology component. So data, process, and technology. I think today, when we look at the advances in digital technology within medical affairs, one of the areas that's become really important is social listening, or also known as sentiment analysis. Artificial intelligence and predictive analytics can help what we do within medical affairs to be much more efficient and impactful. And I would argue that when it comes to digital technology, being compliant, again, the use of this technology is so important. What we don't want is a situation where you're implementing technology, and you're doing it incorrectly. A good example of this might be you're implementing technology to manage your KOL speakers, let's say, and then your criteria or rubric for choosing those speakers is not appropriate. Let's say, for argument's sake, it includes something related to prescriptions. That could put the organization in hot water. So having a clear rubric in place that focuses on how you pick speakers is very, very important. Now, when we think about key medical affairs activities and we think about the next 10 years, we're in 2022, so think about 2032. Well, what should you want to be able to achieve? And so the pharma industry has been really, I would say, generally speaking, slower to catch up to other industries when they think about putting together strong competency frameworks in place. First and foremost, I think when it comes to medical affairs, We need to think about how we transform and personalize medical engagement. Millennials, Gen Zers today, who more and more now are becoming our healthcare provider customers, they are looking for information to be delivered in a very specific type of way. And so the way we've been doing things in the past, the skills in the past that we've had in terms of capabilities may need to change. So I think there's really a few ways to do this. One is effective stakeholder management. What does that look like? How do you manage your stakeholders externally? Do you have the right field medical team processes in place and the right field medical affairs capabilities? Do you have strong medical information call centers in place? And are they talking to field medical? Are they talking to your medical strategy? What are you doing when it comes to planning for events and conferences and medical education and grants? And then stepping up internal medical affairs leadership. So medical affairs leadership needs to really take an honest look at its talent and capabilities and come up with a performance management tools and plans and provide incentives for those individuals that demonstrate improvement in performance development and professional development as well. We need to incentivize those things. But those capabilities that I showed in the second slide are the things that we want to focus on. The other important area really is related to integrated evidence planning and advanced analytics related to real world evidence. And then also our phase 3B, phase 4 clinical trial programs. Are we innovative in being able to generate evidence across different areas? Are we patient oriented when it comes to evidence planning, ensuring that all the data generated optimizes patient experiences and outcomes? Do we take a global approach to integrated evidence planning with a centralized view of all the data generation activities across the life cycle of all the regions that we work in? And is that homogeneous, meaning is it consistent and standardized? Do we understand the impact of data generation activities and how do we measure effectiveness and the change when it comes to patient outcomes? Are we harnessing data appropriately? For example, electronic records databases. And if we're harnessing that, how are we doing that, not just in the US, but globally? And how is that translating at a granular level to patient subsegments? Are we using our phase 3 data sets appropriately and using that to drive maybe perhaps expanded indications and help to expand the market? Are we leveraging our insights that we gather from other functional areas within medical affairs and steering it so that we optimize strategy? Are we optimizing clinical trials from real world evidence so that we can get faster and more efficient ways to bring new indications to market with products? What are we doing with virtual trial models, virtual clinical trials, and how are we leveraging the virtual clinical trial platforms, virtual ad boards to get information rapidly exchanged much more effectively? Is there equal use and trust of both peer-reviewed publications and other robust, credible evidence available on digital channels? And are we automating publication technology to help drive workflows more effectively? These are the things I think we need to think about when we think about where we want to be in 10 years. And this is important because when you think about where the industry has been and where it's going, we see that there is certainly an increased number of medical science liaisons versus traditional pharmaceutical sales reps. This is data that was published or presented by the Accreditation Council for Medical Affairs, the ACMA, looking at the change in time from the late 1990s up to the present day of medical science liaisons versus pharmaceutical sales representatives. And you can see here a rapid expansion and evolution of medical science liaisons in the red, whereas you can see pharmaceutical sales reps are actually decreasing and going down. So certainly we see an impact when it comes to medical science liaisons and their numbers that are going up. We also see that micro-credentialing has become the future of the industry. We're seeing this for many, many reasons, but really what we're beginning to understand is that if you want continuous improvement, you need to be able to train people in a specialized fashion and provide them with specialized skills. You don't want one-off training. That's old school. That's old thinking. You want to see observable changes and you want a continuous roadmap for improvement. And I think this is one of the reasons, this is one of the reasons why board certification in medical affairs has become an industry standard. Matter of fact, if you go into Wikipedia now and look at medical science liaison, the board certified medical affairs specialist program, or BCMAS, is actually there as the official board certification for MSLs and medical affairs professionals. And in the United States and Europe, we're seeing this now becoming a new standard. There's thousands and thousands of people. I think that is over 8,000 people that are board certified within medical affairs. And it is really the primary board certification. Board certification program, what makes it unique is that it actually is a program that is addressing all the global needs from a knowledge perspective for all the parts of the world that focus on medical affairs. So there's a BCMAS program for Europe, America, South America, China, other parts of Asia, India, et cetera, Middle East, North Africa. And what it does is it covers all the areas within medical affairs. It is really, truly the most comprehensive program for medical affairs, and it tailors it by region because the regulatory and compliance landscape differs from region to region. And so it addresses things like strategic innovation, value proposition, differentiation within different areas of medical affairs and governance. And I think it's a great way to really distinguish medical affairs professionals from sales representatives. If you look to pharma compliance officers and key opinion leaders, what are they saying about the value of board certification for medical affairs? Well, a survey of over 1,100 key opinion leaders or external experts indicated that certified individuals are seen as more credible, more trustworthy, and more competent. So 87% said that if you have a board certified medical affairs specialist individual, they're going to be more credible, more trustworthy, more competent. Where we also see that from a survey that was conducted, 70% of compliance professionals in the industry believe that having certified professionals in medical affairs improves the level of compliance. And 73% believe you can reduce risk. And that's key, right? That's key to be able to enhance trust within medical affairs. When we look at other leaders from the patient advocacy side, this is Sarah Krug, who's the executive director of Cancer 101, and she says that medical affairs professionals who are certified can help combat a world filled with misinformation. And this really requires educational standards. And this is something that is resonating within the patient community. I'm sure you're aware that the patient advocacy community is playing a greater role in having a share of voice when it comes, as we talked about, with drug development and endpoints and studies. And we believe that including a standardized competency for MSLs and medical affairs professionals can really raise the integrity of standards in the industry. So we see this happening. Even patient advocates believe that this is key. And Sarah Krug actually was with the ACMA and she presented before the United States Congress Health Subcommittee with one of the Republican congressman members, Brett Guthrie, out of the great state of Kentucky, talking about this issue. So this has even made headlines in Congress. The Attorney General's Alliance had invited me actually to give a talk on standards in medical affairs. We've seen articles in USA Today and Forbes. So this has become a mainstream topic. So I think for any medical affairs professional today, any medical affairs organization today, they need to think about these types of things. I think the first thing you want to do if you want to build out strong capabilities is provide uniformity, level setting across the organization. You can do that by having board certification within medical affairs. Even within the FDA, the former head of the FDA, who's currently now the principal deputy of the FDA, Dr. Janet Woodcock, says having professional standards is key, is important to building trust with patients. And so I think this is really important. It was a pleasure giving you this presentation. Again, I wish I could have been there in person to deliver the presentation. I want to thank you for your time. I can be reached at william@acmainfo.org if you have any questions for me personally. I wish you all a great meeting, a successful meeting, and I hope that it's filled with a lot of great insights and that you benefit from it and bring these insights back to your organization. I think that's the key, is to be able to bring these insights back to your organization to help drive strategy effectively. Thank you very much for your attention.